Okay. Has it begun?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There you go. Well, anyhow, good evening, everybody. We're glad you're here. It's the Sunday night webinar, and tonight's wow, September 24th already. Wow, where did September go? Anyhow, I'm Gene Cobago, and
I am Roger Carroll.
hey, and we are your hosts, I guess, for tonight's webinar. I'm here to give you hopefully some information, maybe a little entertainment or something along the way too. While you're here, we have it posted here, the date, and we have the number that it's 2017-2018 Web 102. And we do have a page on the teacher resource web page that does have all of the numbers, and we'll keep that up to date too in case you need to know. But okay.
I'm going to
Now,
show a
one
little
thing.
bit more about that tonight, Gene, borrowing
Oh,
what
okay,
we did
because of
earlier.
the okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Now, yeah, and well, tonight, yeah. Well, by the way, in case you haven't maximized your screen, we asked you to do that, and I only see one person who is not, and if you're with us and the name begins with S, maybe you could maximize your screen, and what that means is go up to the top right and the little square there. Make sure that your screen is as large as it can be. And that way, thank you for doing that. And that way the GoToWebinar doesn't see you as inattentive. Okay, hey, well tonight, what we're going to do, we've got to have a couple of, I think, interesting things tonight, hopefully. Maybe that's why some of you have joined us. First of all, we're going to show you some of the basics of the new teacher website and then web pages tools. We might refer to it as Schoolwires. It's now Blackboard. I think it's been bought out by Blackboard. Is that what it is, Raj, I believe?
Yes,
I think
that's what
that's right.
happened.
Yeah, because I remember Blackboard from many, many years ago. And I'll talk a little bit about that. And Raj is going to talk about some nice features that you can add to your web pages using Blackboard, Schoolwires. Namely, the one thing we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, a blog. We'll show you talk a little bit about that, a calendar, and he also he has probably a few other things that he mentioned. And then if we have some time, we'll talk about some great resources we've been gathering over the summer. We've both placed in our flipboards, I think. You have a flipboard, Raj?
I have many
Oh,
flipboards.
yeah, I have over 100, but I meant for tonight.
I have one that I've been putting together since the last webinar in June.
Yes, yes, and I have, yeah, we have those, and I've got so many more things too. But anyhow, we're also, as Raj, you may not have caught the little illusion, but Raj has a little button that he starts, and it starts recording the webinar. And we've been recording the last few webinars, and we will be putting them on a page. I think, Roger, you're going to show them where that is so they can
I will.
check that.
I shall.
Check out the pages. Sure, check out. In case you want to go back, if you missed a webinar, the one we've had with Mr. Laurie or Mr. Grineri. And speaking of that, we have some new speakers upcoming, some special guests, and look, keep your eyes open for the emails concerning them. Mr. Carello from the administrator of curriculum will be joining us, and Ms. Maria Massaro, administrator for human resources, will be joining us. Karen Wagaman, the director of the Niagara Falls Teacher Resource Center, and they all have some good, important information they'd like to discuss with you. So keep your eyes open, and we'll be telling you more about them. We have one planned, I think, for next week. If it goes well, we'll be talking. We'll tell you about it. Okay. But anyhow, we're glad you're here, and it's about time to start the webinar. The one thing that let's see if I can get through this thing. We do want to mention that the fact. Let me see if I can get through the end of this thing, just to the end, to just close it off and minimize it. The one thing that I did want to mention very, very quickly, that we've been trying to do for a couple of weeks, and it seems like we never get there. Oh God, boy, what am I hitting? At the beginning of every school year, just real quickly, when I'm sure many of you started using technology already, just as a reminder, an email went out this week regarding the AUP. And right at the top of, if you go to Technology Resources for Teacher, there is a web page, and I had a link to it in the email, that will take you to this page. And it's just a short reminder to the students of the proper use and what we expect from them, how to use technology in the various grade levels. You'll see that there is a grade level AUP for the various grades, and that you're asked to take a look at the one that fits your situation and perhaps review this with them. A couple of them do ask for signed AUPs. I'm not sure whether the board requires it, but it's not a bad idea also. But again, we want our students to be using technology in the proper way, so please do review the acceptable use policy for the students. Okay? And with that, maybe we should talk first now. I think many of you joined us because we mentioned the fact that we'd be talking about the teacher websites. In the last week, I think last week, we discussed New York Learns, and we're reviewing its use. And one of the things that they've decided to do is to house the teacher websites on Schoolwires or Blackboard, which is the housing for this district web page. So what Roger and I did, if you go to any one of the schools, let's just take 79th Street, for example, you'll see that on every school there is we call these channels called teacher web pages. And if you click on this, you should see the names of the teachers who are at that school. We have asked at the beginning of the school year, we asked each secretary to send us a list of the teachers and the subject area or grade level that they taught or whatever they were involved in. So we could then put that at the end, with their names. This is one way we can help, kind of sort of like a staff directory for parents as well. The only one that is not complete is Gaskill, and if anybody is at Gaskill and goes in and checks his or her name and doesn't see the subject area that he or she is teaching, just send it to me and I'll be sure to add it. We're missing quite a few there. But anyhow, here's how it works. What we've done for just about any one of these, and I could just pick one at random, it doesn't matter. We have created just kind of like a little welcome homepage for each teacher. So at very least, every teacher has a welcome homepage. This is no longer linked to your New York Learns page. So if you had a New York Learns page, they are no longer linked to the school website. They are still there. They are still accessible, and you can go there. You can still use them. Somebody last week, I believe, asked how long they would be there. And Raj, I believe they're going to be here through at least the end of this year. Is that correct?
I don't think it's infinity and beyond, but many years ago, they told us they would never be taking it down, our websites and access to our e-portfolios. But that was a few years ago, and things are changing.
Yes,
but, absolutely. So you've got at least a year, but I wouldn't wait till the last week of June.
Yeah, and what he's saying, what shouldn't you wait for? And this is, number one, if you have stored anything in your portfolio, and I think there are very few who have done it that way, you should download those things onto your computer or then put them on OneDrive or wherever you want to store them. But more importantly is that if you have a website on New York Learns, you can, with a little bit of learning, and probably it would take you, I think, through the classes that we've taught and the teachers we've met, within about 15 or 20 minutes, you can be up and running and know how to basically copy those pages on New York Learns, put them in your new Schoolwires, Blackboard website, and they will look very, very good. Many of the teachers that we've talked to, and have shown them how to do this, have done that. One group that we were with last week, the teachers were transferring pages over, and within half an hour they were doing 6 and 7 pages they had copied into Schoolwires, and they were very, very pleased. And they thought, most of them thought, that Schoolwires was actually a better looking, and once you get get to it, you'll find out that it works very, very easily, and it's a very easy website builder to use. And I just wanted to show you very quickly a couple of things tonight, so that if you're interested, you might be able to get started on your own. Okay, and Raj and I, and well, Marie is kind of out right now, but Raj and I are available. If you are interested, if you need help, please let us know. That's what what we're here for. If you need help getting your pages going. Well, all right, let me just show you what this is. Kind of what your new Schoolwires Blackboard page will look like. This is my home page, okay? And you can set it up. You can see this is, it looks pretty cool the way it's set up and so forth. It took probably, what, about 5 minutes to set this up, Raj?
That took you a little longer, yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm a slow learner, that's why. But it is very, very, very easy to do, and we'll show you, we can show you how. And you'll see that, kind of like New York Learns, we have a whole bunch of pages here that you can do. For some reason, mine, instead of calling it a home page, I called mine Welcome. But you'll see that tonight, if you want to find some of the resources, if we get to them tonight, remember, if you've been with us the past year or 2 or 3 or 4, or how many years we've been doing this, we put on flipboards, and I have one here that has a great number of resources that I hope we get to some of them tonight. If not, we'll try to get more coming up. But I've created a page that will contain those for this year instead of putting it on New York Learns. And we have a few other little things that you might be interested in. This test page is just one that I should inactivate, and I forgot. But anyhow, how does one work on a page like this? And it's actually fairly simple. Excuse me. To be able to do this, you need a user account. That means a username and a password. Most of you who are listening tonight, unless you've talked to us and worked with it, do not have that yet, or at least don't know you have that yet. Okay? If you are interested, let us know, and we can set you up with a user account that will allow you to work on your particular page. Here's the way it works. Here is the sign in right here, and if very simply you sign in, that's my username, and then my password. I think that's correct. And then I hit sign in. Notice now the sign in, excuse me one second while I get rid of this. That's another thing I use. Now has changed to Site Manager and My Account. Once you get started, if you have a very simple password and you want to change the password, you can just go into edit account settings and change your password right here, very simply, okay? And here's your information. You can put in more information if you wish. Okay, but the easiest way now, once you've signed in, to get to your page to work on it is to go to your school, go to Teacher Web Pages, and select your name. If you're signed in properly, you'll notice right here, Edit Page. That'll only pop up when you are signed in. You are the only one that's going to see that. Nobody else will see it. Don't worry. Nobody else can use it. Okay? And this will take you to your page. Now, this is my welcome page here. You're going to say, that doesn't look like what you just saw. Let me take you to a little bit different one just because it might work out a little better. Okay, you'll see this, and well, you know, it kind of looks funny at first when you're doing things like this. And this is because, and this is the key to the whole thing, when you create a page or when you go to a page, the page itself is a blank page that you can't do anything with. It's just like a blank sheet of paper, but you can't write on it. What you need to do is add apps to it. Applications. These are the various apps that you might want to put on. 95% of the time, you will use what we call, I think, a content app. There are some others, and I think Roger's going to show you a couple tonight, okay, different ones. But notice this says content app, and what you would do is grab it and drag it over and add it in. Do you see how I'm doing that? I'm not going to do that because I don't want to mess up my page right now. But if you'll look up in the top left, that says content. I dragged a content app over here. Now, how do you work on it once you get it over here? Well, there's a little green pencil in the middle, and you just click on it. And now you have your work area, and that you can work on it just basically the way you would work on a New York Learns page, or you'll see many of these controls, icons, and things like that. This is the cut and copy. Over here is if you want to insert an image. There's a way to go through it. It's not very hard. You can pick it up very easily. You do not have to upload an image like you would in New York Learns. Very easy. You can have it on your, on your computer's hard drive, or on your pictures or wherever, and put it right in. You can upload a file, things like that. If you have a PDF or a Word file you want the kids to work on, easily done just by clicking on this, and it'll help you to browse until you find the file, upload it, give it a name, and you're good to go. It's very simple. The only thing that's a little different is when you highlight the text, you say, hey, I want that a different size. Well, there are two little things, and they're not really quite as precise as we may have had before. This says styles, and this says headings. The headings give you 4 different size headings. If I clicked on 4, okay. If I click on 1, okay, it changes them. Now, the alternative is to go to styles. And styles just says small, smallest, smaller, and if I clicked on largest, that's about the largest font size you can get, okay? You still have the bold, italic, underline, and so forth that is. Now also you'll notice that mine are in blue. Very simply, if you highlight something, over here is a little droplet, and that's the color. So you can just click on it and color whatever color you want. And that's about all you need to do with your page. I am not going to make you an expert at creating web pages tonight. I just wanted to give you a quick little introduction. And again, once you're done, you would save it, And once you have the success, you can close this off. And notice you're back in that area where you can see the app. But to work on it, you have to click on the green arrow. I can close this off. I can get back to my pages. Okay? If I wanted a new page, maybe I had a page, for homework assignments. I could go up here. I could give it a. Did I spell it right? Okay. Now, I need to do that, and I need to tell what kind of page. There are various kinds of pages, and you'll say, oh my goodness, what are all of these? The best type page, and the page that is used most often, is the blank page. Click on blank page, and then I go down to the bottom and put save and continue. And remember I said it's a blank sheet of paper? You can't do anything with it. I can click for all, forever, and nothing's going to happen until I put an app in it. Before I do that, I could, just to show you real quickly, notice here, this up at the top, it says apps. Over here to the right, it says layout. If I wanted to be really fancy, I could divide my page in different ways, but most people like that single sheet effect. Okay, and here are my apps again. And as I said before, the most commonly used app is the content app. There it is. I can click on this, and now I'm ready to create my page. Okay? Now, one last thing, and then I'm going to give it to Raj in just a few seconds. You'll notice down below this little green thing. I don't know if you can read it, but when I highlight it, it says active. Now, if I have assignments here, but I'm not ready to put it online, I can click this, and I'm still can be working on it. I have not eliminated it. I've not erased it, but it's not viewable by the teachers, or by the students, or by anybody, the teachers or anybody else either. Okay? So again, this is how it works. It's very, very simple. Anytime that you're working on it, your page, you've done some new things to it, you want to see how it looks, there's a little thing up to the top left. It's kind of hard to see, but it says view website. You can just click on that, and it will open a picture, a view of your website. Okay. So that is very, very briefly what this is. And just lastly, you'll notice that I told you I took 5 or 10 minutes to do this, and this is because when I created this page, it's my welcome page. Notice I don't have a content app here. I have what's called teacher. And if I go down to the bottom here, I wanted on the welcome page to introduce myself. And if you go down here, you'll see a teacher app, and you can just drag it up here. And what I did when I dragged it up here, it gave me some blocks. I filled in my name. I put in a little bit of that biography. I put a link in here. I put in a photo. I didn't want to put a photo of me. I didn't want to scare anybody. So I put in the Temps logo. Then I went to details, and I could put in a phone number if I wanted, or my degrees if I wanted to brag a little bit or whatever. But I did want to put in my email address if anybody wanted to contact me. Wanted to make sure that this is activate on my page. I hit save, and this is how when I filled all that in, it ends up looking like that. It was easy. I didn't have to go in and put the picture over here and set anything up. It's very easy. So you're using apps. That's the only difference. Okay, that's the first part. Now, I was thinking we're running out of time, so next week what we'll show is how can I take my New York Learns website and change it over to Schoolwires Blackboard, okay? Now, while we're here, Roger's going to show us, I think, some new things, new apps, new additions that you might want to put on your web page, and some that we've done and that hopefully you'll find useful. So Roger, are you ready to go?
Yes, I think my page is up and ready.
Okay, share. Yeah, do I go to sharing? Oh yeah, change presenter. It's been a while. Okay, I think I have done that.
I think you have. Just a couple things before I move further along here. In the handouts, Gene, I uploaded the handout for the
Oh,
section.
yes.
I uploaded this. It's a section editor. It's maybe
Okay.
it's a 2 or a 3-page handout that we have been giving out in our workshops, working with teachers on their Schoolwires account. And it talks about the different the different apps and things, and some basic information that you can have right on your fingertips if you want to go ahead and give it a try. As Gene pointed out, you do need a username and password and access to your Schoolwires webpage, and if you contact either one of us, we will set that up for you and let you know when it is active, or you'll get a system message or something like that, and you can go in and work on it. The only time you will see the edit page option is when you are on your Schoolwires webpage, on your Schoolwires, on the teacher web pages at your school. That's the only time it will pop up, is because that's the only page that you have access to.
And you have to be logged in too.
You must be logged in, or you can sit there forever. But as Gene pointed out also, you will see, once you sign in and log in, you'll see the word Site Manager, but you will not see the Edit Page option until you are on your page. So
Raj,
there's a little comment there. Yes, Gene.
may I enter? I forgot one thing. When you get done, you might want to show them how to log out of Site Manager, because it's not evident on the
Oh, okay.
how,
Well,
how do I stop doing all this stuff?
As
Oh yeah, you can sign out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
once let's say you've find out you're turned off your computer and something, you'd be logged out as well. But that's a good point. You don't want.
Yeah, but I've come back days later and still logged in and went, whoops, I forgot.
Oh, that's because I've hacked your computer.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Bring that
I'm glad
up,
it was
but,
you. I'm glad it was you.
Well,
I didn't know you spoke Russian.
It was Vladimir. He told me to do it. So.
I see.
This is my page. Gene showed you his page. And all of the pages that Gene talked about creating, those pages are what appear here as you go through the hierarchy. Let me edit the page. I'll go into my behind the scenes here, and these are my current pages, and I have a welcome page, as Gene just pointed out to you as well, and these are the other pages that I have created, and again, those are the pages that appear here. Of note, and I think it's covered in the handout, you can change the order of these pages. If you get quite active working with your classroom web page, and you create pages, and as Gene mentioned, you can make them active or inactive. But as you create them, you may want to put them in a different order and change how they appear on this page here. And that's a very simple drag and drop feature. We're not going to go over it tonight, but it's when you organize your pages here, and you can do that there. So you can change you're not stuck with anything. You can have sub pages. You can do a whole lot of other little more sophisticated things with managing your web page. But initially, you just want the basic information that you want to present on your classroom web page, depending on what grade and subject area. Imagine who might be looking at your page or seeking your page for information. Gene and I spent a lot of time this summer prior to the opening of school trying to get all of the directories in each of the schools to accurately reflect who is teaching in that school this coming year. So that's why there is a different look there. If you go to your school web pages, let me come back here. Gene and I both, in fact, all of the temps appear on every single one of the school's teacher web pages directory. This is for Niagara Falls High School. If we go to, I'll go quickly to 79th Street, look at teacher web pages. There I am here, and there is Gene as well. So we are right almost literally at your fingertips for resources to contact us. You don't have to go into search all over the place for our email addresses and so on. And again, what we did was try to organize each of the schools' faculties so it indicates at the very least what grade level a teacher is teaching. And if we go into any one of these, the teacher may or may not have created some content on their individual web pages. I'm going to pick one, not so much at random, but this is what's out there right now for your basic teacher web page if you haven't touched it. This is what Gene and I replaced when we replaced this with when we cut the links to the New York Learns web page. So pretty much everyone has a welcome to my classroom or welcome to my class web page message. And it was quite a chore, Gene will attest, trying to get all of these school web page listings accurate. And they're still coming in. We had people who changed schools, who have retired and moved on, etc., trying to make it so that there is at least a one place to start for most people. And we encourage every classroom teacher to put some basic information on your class web page or your home page or whatever you want to call it. Initially, what grade you are in. You might want to indicate your room number. You might want to put on your web page. You might want to put classroom supplies. A lot of teachers send that out early in the year. You could put your classroom weekly schedule for all the specials, whatever it happens to be. If you're a secondary teacher, you could have a separate page for each of your courses. If you teach different levels of math, a page for each math page and so on. Notice here the little plus sign. I have nested a couple of pages underneath Office 365 and OneNote, some additional resources, so as not to overly clutter the navigation panel on the left. I put nested Office 365, some things about OneNote, and some other information as well here. So you have quite a lot of options, and I think Gene was, hinting at it really is an easy tool to work with once you learn it. I find it, and the results visually are much better than working with New York Learns. You don't have to upload things twice and collect a whole lot of things before they appear on your page. And I think it's pretty versatile. Coming soon to the district, and we can't put a date on it, is a complete overhaul of the school district website itself. Notice now it's called Blackboard. Down here it used to be called Schoolwires and that kind of thing. They're updating the template for the school, and it's going to have a pretty much a different look to it. The basic school colors, the district colors will remain, but you're going to see a difference here, and you're probably going to see a difference across the bottom of the screens. And one reason is it's time. Blackboard did take it over, and they're making all of these pages work with whatever device you're using to look at them. If you're looking on a smartphone, it's going to have a different look than if you're on an iPad, if you're on a different computer, and so on, a whole range of whether it's a tablet and so on. And I don't know how soon the soon is, but it's coming. We got a preview of some other districts that have already moved to it, and I like the look. It will be different, but it won't be anything that you really have to relearn to do. It's just going to be a fresher, newer look. I think it may take up more of the screen on whatever device you're working on, and so on. Well, let's go dig a little deeper here. We talked about some new things. I'm going back to the district homepage, and you know that to register for a webinar, to check the upcoming webinars, the calendars, or previous webinars, and so on, you go to the district homepage, you go to staff, and then you go down to the Teacher Resource Center. And over on the Teacher Resource Center, here's the navigation panel again. We have the webinar registration page for all the September webinars, as well as the blog. And I added today a little enhancement here. I added a page where we're going to put our webinar recordings. We started recording them a couple weeks ago with our first one of the new year. They're about an hour long, but basically it's the webinar itself. You'll see and hear what you're seeing and hearing right now if you were to look at these recordings, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. The webinar registration page, this will be changing very soon this week. Gene will be updating this to say October 2017, and he'll have the registration buttons for all the ones that we are scheduling starting in October. And then if we keep scrolling, we have what's called the Sunday night webinar blog. And the reason we are doing that is just to change things up and get things, move things along into for a 21st century classroom. That this is something that you can do very simply with this tool, the Blackboard tool, is you can have a classroom blog. And it looks and functions very similar to this. This is, Gene talked about it. I'm going to go into the edit this page so you can see what I'm talking about. Here we are. There. Now you're looking behind the scenes. But if you'll notice, I scroll down here, this is a little different layout. Gene showed you the layout that for most of you by default is basically a blank page. The page that you're looking at with the webinar registration page has this layout working for it. And notice these are all different sections within that page that you can then add content to. Down here, up here is the Sunday night webinar. That's that information there. When I touch it, it disappears. But you get the idea as I scroll down. You'll see there's the dividing line on the page. Here are the registration in the table that Gene created. And then down here is the blog itself. And notice there are little editing blocks over here for each of the blog posts that accompany this information over here. So I'll go back to that, and you can see how that works. Go into that page there and see how that behind the scenes, the layout now works. There's the list of the September webinars and information for the Sunday night blog. So there's just basic blank information here. I put in a link, a little graphic, a little information. Then over here are the three sections that are now current relating to the blog for tonight. The one that we had last week with Mr. Ray Granieri, and the one that we started the school year off when we had Mark Laurie join us. And notice that underneath each of the blogs, you'll see the word comments. For Mr. Laurie, there were 9 comments. So if you click on the word comments, as we're going to ask you to do for tonight's webinar, you'll be taken to the page where a number of people who have had comments approved, their comments appear in order here. And most of them are very general. Again, the majority of them are posted anonymously. And if you want to respond or comment on a comment, that's what this little plus button would do here. And we moderate the comments, and it is, well, I don't know if it's a law, but it ought to be, at least in the school district, a requirement that all blogs, whether they're a classroom blog or whatever, be approved before they appear on the page. Now, don't scream censorship or anything. There may be, and you dealt with school situations, a reason to not approve a comment, especially because here, at least, we have allowed anonymous comments. When you structure a blog, that can be restricted as well, not to allow anonymous blogs. But we can go in and say approve or not approve these postings by going over to here. When this is your page editor and you're looking at your pages, you'll see here that there are some comments posted. And these are the postings for the different webinars that we have. Now, what I'm looking at is, I have 3 unapproved comments. That means people have come since the last time this was checked and added a comment and waiting for approval. So I can approve this one. And this is what you would do as a teacher if you're using this in your classroom. You would approve it. If you review it, what's happening is it's bringing it up in an edit fashion. I'll show you. Down here is the comment, and you can edit it. I wouldn't do this necessarily for adults doing this, but it's something you might want to consider with your students, is to go in and maybe help them out a bit. The other really positive feature of blogging in the classroom is now it's open and publishable and viewable by anybody who finds that web page. So I'm going to approve that comment. Are you sure you want to approve it? Yes, I am sure. I'm going to approve this one. And I am going to approve this one. So if we go back to, say I'm done, go back to view the web page. I'm going into the teacher blog now. Come all the way down here. You can see that now there are more comments from approved for last week's webinar and so on. So again, it's a very simple feature to work with. It's dealt with a little bit in the handout, but blogs come in and out of favor, I think, for use in a classroom, depending on what grade level you're teaching or the subject area you're teaching. It's something that you really might want to consider. A lot of schools did this a couple years ago when they were doing school-wide readings, where a book was assigned to a whole school or a grade level. They opened up a blog where students could post comments and react to the book, talk about characters, and so on, and you could get a online discussion going that way. So it's a pretty valuable tool in a 21st century classroom. Kids are reacting to, and they're seeing their thoughts put out there for other people to respond to. And if you do use the blog, of course, you get into the you'd want permission from parents and so on, and you could allow anonymous posts, or you could require that the students use just their first name or just their initials. You can control all of that yourself when you go into the blog for reviewing, for approving, or declining a comment as well. And any questions on that, Gene, or anything that needs to be updated?
Really, I see people. I think that people are watching pretty carefully. And hang on one second. Yeah, somebody. Well, other than somebody liked having the handouts. Well, thank you, Rich.
Okay, and they can download the handout right now. It's a PDF form. I don't think you can do it once the webinar is over, but it's something that we can also send to people.
Absolutely. I have it. Raj has it. Let us know.
Yes. We may even post that at some point.
I think so, yeah.
The recent addition is, Gene mentioned it earlier, is the webinar recordings. And this is twofold as well. If you happen to miss a webinar, we have them, the previous two here. I don't know how much space we are allowed. I don't think it's an infinite amount of space, but at least we've got the first two of the school year. And what you simply do is you go to the webinar recordings page, and if you want to, if you've missed it, or you want to review it, or go back and double check some specific information, like what we're talking about tonight and showing tonight, that's something you will put in the next recording, and you can go back and look at that. And that's also something that you can do in your class as well. We're going to be showing you how to make these recordings and upload them. This is the recordings that you're looking at right now are done by the GoToWebinar people, and they download the video, we convert it and put it on the page. But the universal, if you press the play button, I'm only going to do this to show you what it looks like when it opens up, is it opens up a little play screen. There you go.
Gosh,
Yes.
See if there's any sound there.
There, I was playing.
Can you move it ahead a little? I just want to know if we have sound. I do not hear anything.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I'm talking about our other problem. So
it's that other issue with. Yeah. We're showing them a recording within a recording versus a recording, if that makes any sense.
On a webinar. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And here is one from last week with Ray Graneri talking about the entire information services department and how they view things there, and things get approved within a district and so on. But this is a tool that you also have at your disposal. You don't have to pay for it or anything. We do accept tips and donations, but you can put this up using one of those apps that I'm showing you. I'm going to just show you just a little bit about what this looks like behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's not that hard to do.
It really isn't. I spent more time correcting my idiotic typos and things than actually getting things loaded up. But here is the tool that you're now becoming familiar. Gene, okay, there's a pencil here. This is a little different app here where a plus means add a new posting or add a new thing to this particular blog. Initially, it was my understanding that you could just simply add postings to it. I found I had to enter a new blog so that I could manipulate it a little better. But here is the edit tool. You'll notice here, I used the plus tool and added a different one because I was messing around with it. But the one that's active is here. Notice you still don't see the video. But if I go into the edit option, now I've got that editor where I put in a little bit of text to, like describe what's going on here. And then I keep scrolling down here. You'll see a button here that says add the video. And when you add the video, it's going to browse, give you a little dialog box where you can, okay, where is the video? And you'll upload it, and then you can put, like I added this text for us on my email and so on, and then activate it on the page. I'm not going to do any, I'm just going to cancel that because I haven't really messed with it. And we're going to talk about all of these things in a little more depth as we go through the Sunday night webinars. But it really is kind of a neat tool. All of these are, and as I get more and more familiar with the tool and the editing features, I'm going to try out all of the apps and so on. I'm going to go back to my page and show you one more thing that I think you might find. There's my page. That's not my page. There's my page. I wanted to go in here and show you the calendar app. This is something that I think most classroom teachers will find very useful. Is one of the apps that on the page editor is a calendar that you can go in and then edit all the dates. the Schoolwires calendar, it used to function really weird, and I never understood it. Was there are calendars throughout the school district. There's one that Judy Glasser, the informations person, manages, and that calendar got pushed down to the schools. And if you in a school had a classroom calendar, the calendar got pushed down to you. And they tried to build in some filters so that you wouldn't see some of the stuff that didn't apply to you. Like if there's a chicken barbecue at Maple Avenue School and you taught at 79th Street, well, that's not something you necessarily need on your school calendar and so on. But this app now allows you to make a calendar app and a calendar unique to your classroom. And it could be the days that certain specials you have for, they go to art on this day, gym on this day, music on another day. You might put in reminders for days off. You might put in reminders for school pictures. You might put in reminders for field trips, special events, and so on. And it's really simple to edit, I say. Now, that brought up the calendar. If I want to add a new event, I just simply click in the square for the date that I want. Notice it went to, well, let's pick one. Instead of reordering the past, let's reorder the present. Okay, I'm going to put in, I'm doing some PD at Niagara Falls High School. And it's going to start at 11:30 a.m. and it's going to end at, I think it's going to end at 2:30 in the afternoon on Friday the 29th. And I can add some text in here. Gene mentioned about how we can do the different sizes. There are some workarounds that we'll show you later on if you do want to get fancy, but generally I've been using subheading 2, PD for art teachers. I might even want to spell that right. And I forget the room number, but I think it's room 2 something. And this is what's going on. So I'll save it. And it appeared in my calendar here. So it's very simple. And another thing that you can do, get into some of these advanced features, you can categorize the various events. And these are prescribed categories. I'm going to say, oh, this is for art. I'm going to make that, put this event into a category over here. And so your calendar can have add some color to it with some background. And if they all relate to one thing, it's a little more oriented, probably at a different level for managing a calendar. But it can be right there on your web page, simple enough for you to use and for your parents and your students to refer to. So we've got a lot going on with the new tool, so to speak, and we're anxious to have more teachers working with it from the simplest level, just putting some absolute basic information that really isn't going to change much throughout the year, or if you're going to use your web page to manage some instruction with assignments and lessons and website links and so on, all of that can be done very easily with this tool. And some teachers, I think, are just getting the basics and then growing into it and making good use out of it. There's I wanted to show you. She's a new math teacher, I think. We worked with her, Jean, at one of our afternoon workshops.
I think I have her page up, Raj. Is it Pile Pelegi? Is that the one in Maple?
No, I'm taking the new map. The
She's
Portland.
at the at the new school, community education center.
Oh, that was Brandy.
Was she not? No, that's
This
Brandy.
is Porter, which we are working with her.
Oh,
A new
okay.
first-year teacher at Niagara Falls High School, and she's putting in some stuff. It looks like a blog and looking like some neat things. And she has and is nesting some pages, and you can nest within a nest and so on. So again, there are plenty of options, and as Gene has mentioned, and I've mentioned it again, that we can find a way to meet with you and show you some of these more sophisticated aspects of working with your web page, as well as on down the line in our webinars. Gene, I've talked way too long. I want to turn it back to you, and you can show your.
We have 4 minutes left, Raj.
Okay.
That might be a good time. You know what? I'm going to show them how they can maybe access our materials that we haven't shown for tonight. How's that?
Go right ahead. So do you want me to give it back to you?
Yeah, if you would, yes, absolutely.
I'm going to make you back the presenter, and
Okay.
you should be.
Okay, I'm at the, very, very, I think most of you know this, but what we've done, we have a couple of links. And if you do care to look at some of the resources that we do hope to talk about one of these days, if you go to basically to the Teacher Resource Center, same page where you registered, this will probably say October, either tomorrow or Tuesday, and right up at the top here, you will find, it says Schoolwires. We're going to have to change that to Blackboard. But if you, for example, click on my web page, there are my Sunday night webinar, and click on here, and it will take you, it's just taking a long time tonight, but it will take you to the resources. I can see it here coming in now. See, it will take you to some of the resources that I hope to share with you, well, either next week or the week after or the week after that, but soon. But, and then, whoops, if you wish, you can go to Roger's webpage. Raj, do you have a place that you have yours, or?
I have a secret place.
Oh, we want to tell us?
I don't have a place yet. How's that?
Oh, okay. You'll be putting up a place then. Okay.
Yes.
All right. But anyhow, these are, again, that's another way you can get to our web pages, and you can see what we've got going. So, and with that, we've just about reached the magic hour. I just want to remind you that I'm dropping things here. That we do at the end of the webinar, if you've joined us, you hear this all the time, and I apologize, but since we have new people, we do send out thank you emails. They come out in about an hour. They're sent out actually from the company. I don't stay up and send them out. And you don't have to stay up for an hour and wait for them, but there will be a thank you webinar in your email, the same email that you registered on. What we ask you to do is open that up, because inside there is a link to the survey that basically asks a couple of questions, just trying to get your ideas on what you would like to know about, what we can help you with, what you want to know more about, if something that we didn't explain well enough, whatever. And would be very, very glad to go over that. And with that, Roger, any last?
Well, I invite people to go to the blog for tonight's webinar.
Oh, yes, I've forgotten. Yes, go ahead.
And
please go ahead.
Add a comment for the blog. Go on that side of the blog and see what that's like. Mm-hmm. and check back in a day or two, and you'll see that your comments have been posted, and react to someone else's as well, and we'll approve those in addition to that.
Sure. Okay, and with that, we're going to say good night to everybody. Thank you for attending tonight's webinar. We hope to see you next week.
Yes.
And have a great week, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.